send him back next year. So we were happy to. Let me find the right page here. So Gordon has been sewing since 1986. He and his wife Elena's business, Bows and Roses, does sewing machine service and repair, accurate diagnostic cleaning, electrical, motors, foot pedals, timing, lights, and more. And they keep many parts in stock. So he is a really good resource for all of us because we want our machines to keep humming. So turn it over to Gordon.
Thank you, Annie. Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
This room seems bigger than last year. Is that true? Is that better? Well, thank you for asking me to come back. I really appreciate it. And I'm here on time this year. That's really a good feeling. I did get over the embarrassment from last year, but it was kind of hard. So anyway, we'll get right to it here so we don't run out of time. I'm just going to go over the basics of what I do to check things out before I look at anything serious. So, and these are things that everybody should be able to do at home. So we'll look at, this is a Vermina machine here. And this is a customer's machine. And I told her I was going to do show and tell with it. I do have a few things that aren't on it right now. So anyway, look, I wanted to do the brain at first, and I'll tell you what I'm doing, and you're welcome to look at it. There's a broken gear in this particular machine right here, and I have a new gear right here. And I'm just letting you know that because that's why I'm working on this machine besides, doing the service on it. So the first thing that I do is I check the needle position and make sure make sure you have a good needle in there. Make sure that it's even space between the front and the back and on each side. And then also when you go to I don't know if this will zigzag because that gear that's broken is what zigzags it. It's kind of going there. So when you zigzag on as wide as it will go, your needle also should go the same distance on each side of the needle plate. So those are some things to look for if you're having some difficulties or whatever. And then you want to inspect your needle plate, and right where your needle goes through there, if you get, it's easy to get dings in there because, you're trying to get jobs done and whatnot. Let's see, I think I have one. This one has one. This machine belongs to a seamstress. She does alterations out of her home. But on this needle plate, there's a couple of little dings on there. You probably can't see them from very far away. And they'll get a sharp edge on them from the needle. And there's some simple ways to take care of that. I just use emery cloth, and you can get any size and then just cut it to fit. You know, you don't need much. A piece like this will probably last someone several years. But you just put that in there like that. And I have a special little clamp that I put it in. And then you can just run it through there and just go back and forth with that. And it'll take that little sharp edge off of there, so you don't need to buy a new needle plate right away, but you won't break the thread when it catches on there. Even though your needle doesn't touch there, the thread moves around and it will catch there. So, and then make sure that your needle plate's clean underneath. There's nothing on there that the thread can stick to. And just make sure that it's clean. And the feed dogs, you want to have I'll show you how I clean them. I just have a little pick tool. They sell these at Harbor Freight, like for example. You get 4 of them, I think like $2. Every once in a while I break them, but the feed dog in this Bernina is actually really clean. I don't think this machine's been used a whole lot, but I brought a feed dog with me from a different machine that you can see where it's got buildup in there. And that buildup will cause you to have skip stitches, and it'll also be difficult to feed certain fabrics through because it's not going to come up quite far enough. And then also, this feed dog's worn out. It won't feed a lot of fabrics anymore. And there's a test that you can do. This is what I do. There's probably a lot of ways, kind of like a math equation. There's a lot of ways to do it. I just use a piece of vinyl and I fold it over so that the finished side is on both sides. And that's how I test to see if the feed dogs are worn out or, yeah, what the situation is there. So, and if it won't feed the vinyl through there, chances are that the feed dogs are worn out. And I do run across that quite a bit where they are worn out, which is a good thing. That means that somebody did a lot of sewing.
Using the machine.
And then the bobbin case, and there's different types of situations with sewing machines. Some of them are the top load and that, but you still need to keep it clean in there. And this is the way that I clean them. I just use a Q-tip. Here's the bobbin case. I use alcohol. Yeah. And put the Q-tip in there and go inside the bobbin case and clean it out real good. And you can see I didn't even put any alcohol in there, and it is dirty in there. So anything that the bobbin can catch on is going to affect the way that the sewing machine works. So it's important to have that clean as well. And you can also inspect it. Like this particular type of bobbin case, you can look through there and you can tell if it's got a buildup of lint. And if it does, you can remove that little screw there and clean that out right down there. Just be really careful because the screws can disappear. In fact, I meant to bring my magnet with me and I forgot. I might in a little while, yes. And then this is the hook for this particular machine. And this right here, it's really sharp, and that's what comes around and catches the thread. And it's important that there's no dings or marks up there where that catches the thread. And if there is, you can get those out without having to replace that hook. Just use a really fine sandpaper, like a 1,000 bit or something like that. I have a special buffing wheel that I use, but you don't have to use one of those. And then it's really important that all the grooves on this are clean on both sides, so that this can move freely on both sides in there. And again, you can just use the alcohol and the Q-tip to clean that out. And then do the same inside the machine here, where the hook goes in place there, and clean that entire area where that groove is. And you'll be surprised the buildup of stuff that will cause the machine to just not work as efficiently as it could.
How often should we be cleaning our machines?
Well, if you sew a lot, probably, if you sew a lot,
Gordon,
at least every 6 months.
Gordon, will you just repeat the question into the mic when it's asked so we can pick it up on the
Oh, yes.
online thing?
Yeah, she's asking, how often should you do this? And if you sew a lot, you should do it every 6 months. I know time can slip by, but it depends on how much you sew. I have 3 machines that I sew on, and I'm not the best at keeping mine serviced. So.
At least you admit it.
The one that I have, I bought it new. I'm pretty sure it was 1986. And a couple of years ago, I was having issues with it. And of course, when you're trying to do something and they don't work, you just like, oh, I don't like this. So I had to fix my own machine because I hadn't taken care of it. And a lot of the things that I'm talking about today was
What you found.
what I ran onto. So time goes by, and it's okay. It's a lot of these things won't hurt your machine. It just depends on, if you want to keep it going just right. There is a reason why when you get a new sewing machine, it works nice. So anyway, the feed dogs really need to be cleaned, and that needs to be done. And when you clean them, I have people say they'll use a can of air, blow it out there, but a lot of times there's still stuff caked down in there. And just looking at it, you might not notice that. So those grooves down there, they need to be completely cleaned out. And the hook, we talked about the hook, the upper tension. There's a couple of things that you can do. But this is how I clean it. Again, I use the rubbing alcohol, and then I just use this bias tape. Mostly because I sell this stuff. So I have a lot of it around, and I just get some alcohol on it and just put it in there and clean that out where that tension's at. And then it's important to test your tension. You could use, put a piece of thread in there and make sure that it's working. And, and then when you lift it, make sure it releases. And if it's not releasing, then something's either dirty in there or not working properly. Sometimes, like on this particular machine, it's pretty simple to lift it up because you can see the tension right in there. And then we get to the lubrication. And that can really vary on different machines. On this one, there's a lot of places that are marked. These red ones are from the factory that go down to that main shaft. But I also marked a lot of the others with some white fingernail polish. And on the gears, when there's a gear-to-gear situation, I use the same oil as what's in here, except for it's a grease. And this is what I use to put it on down there. It's easy to get it down there, but you don't have to use one of these. And you don't want to get too much, but you just want to have enough on those gears so that there's a little bit going around on those. And so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them right up here. And I use popsicle sticks a lot.
What do you use the popsicle stick?
I put a little bit of grease on here and go down there if it's hard to get to with your finger.
What kind of oil?
What's that?
What kind of oil?
This right here. It's really clean. It's a food grade oil and grease. I switched over to it like about 4 years ago. I really liked it. It doesn't build up or leave residue at all. And I wanted to talk about power cords just for a second. Check your cords, make sure there isn't any broken, any wires that can be showing anywhere. Maybe one of your grandkids chewed on it or something. Or your cat, or, And, but anyways, just to make sure that it's safe and everything's okay there. I run onto cords having wires showing quite a bit.
So if we do have a sewing machine that needs cords or whatever, you order those?
Yeah, and I also have quite a few of them on hand. Oh, she said if you need a cord, do I have them available? And a lot of times I do.
What's the name of the shop you work with?
It's the shop that's on my property.
Well, where do you live? I didn't say where you live.
Tell us where to go.
And it's at 1527 North, 750 East. Shelley?
Really close to, Army surplus.
Yeah.
2
Mhm.
miles from there.
And his phone number is on that handout that was passed around.
Yeah.
What handout?
back is all you.
Handout.
Are they
I
gone?
didn't get a handout.
Okay.
So,
They're
Oh,
down
there's
at
some
it.
more.
Yeah.
Here.
Would you give that address one more time?
I used to build furniture out of there. Shop. And I want to talk a little bit about the belts. I don't, if, you know, you might not be comfortable checking them depending on where they're at. But I just wanted you to see how the belts work and what happens with them. So like on this machine, it's got a dual belt system, as well as this one does.
The blue bottle. Move the blue bottle.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Here, I'll just set
we
this
need them over here,
back here.
ma'am. They haven't got any.
Can everybody see those okay? And this particular machine, it does have the belt slipping. So it needs to have the belt tightened up a little bit, but you know, it's pretty amazing considering it's, you know, around 35, 40 years old.
It's about 35 years old.
Yeah. So that just kind of gives you an idea. This belt here is extremely loose, but on a sewing machine, the belts, you don't want them very tight. You don't want them any tighter than they have to be. And the way that I check them is, and you know, don't put your finger under the needle, but I hold on to that, and I shouldn't be able to just put my hand under there and turn the wheel. So this one's a little bit loose, but I only want to just tight enough that it won't move on any of those parts when you're holding on to the needle shaft.
So how do you tighten that?
Well, this one's kind of complicated here because the dual belt system, it's moving 2 different ways when you tighten it. I'd have to show you probably at a different time. I don't know how much, I don't have enough time, but there's 2 screws in there, and you loosen one, and then this one you can turn, and it's a set screw, I believe that's how you say it, and it changes the position of that pulley, and then you tighten the one back here back up. And it's pretty much the same on this one right here. The dual belt system is actually really good because you get really good needle penetration at low power. So, you know, you don't have to floor it to get the needle in there. But it gives you really good control when you're sewing. is there any other questions right at this time? And I wanted to show you just for fun, one of the things that I do on a machine to see how much it's been used. This is a brush in the motor,
Oh, wow.
and
What is it? Brush. Yeah.
it's a brush that makes contact with the copper armature down in there. Just like a starter motor in your car, or similar. But this is about 50% used, and I'm guessing that this is an original one. So that kind of gives you an idea that, you know, that this machine hasn't been used a lot. You know, I have a FAF 260 that I'm on my third set of brushes.
Interesting.
If you take one of these out, it's super important you put it in so that the groove is going with the armature. So like, I gotta make sure that this is going like that. And you can keep track of it as you take it out, but I mean, if you really want to take it out. And I might have to get my wife here. I'm going to, another thing, whenever you're, if you have a good light that you can put up really close, it can really help you to be able to see a lot of things that you're not normally going to.
I want to see. It's all fun.
I'm being stuck here. There we go. And those brushes are kind of delicate. So you do have to be careful with them. Let's see, I wanted to. This is your presser foot tension right here. If you have a machine that's got this kind of a setup, you can take these out. And it's something you can go in there and you can clean this spring, and you can also clean this off. I use an ultrasonic cleaner because I've gotten lazy. I just put everything in it, and then in a half an hour, it looks like new. But these can really get buildup on them down in here. And it can affect the way this works. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about light bulbs. I carry a lot of LED bulbs, and I also convert machines over to LED bulbs sometimes if there's a situation where it's a type that it doesn't work for an LED. You can do that if you really want to. But you can also use those machines or the lights, the LEDs that have a little magnet on them. You can stick them on there and you can move them wherever you want. It gives you really good light. That's what I prefer myself, is to do that.
So if we're cleaning out that spring on the top, am I gonna break something?
You shouldn't.
Okay, so you just want me to adjust it, just play with it until you get tension right again?
Well, no, that's just pressure on the presser foot.
Oh, okay.
She's asking if she was to remove this, if it would break, but no. Inside of this there's like a little mechanism in here, and it needs to be clean in there, or this just won't work right. But no, you won't break it. And the tension that you put on here is, like, say I was going to sew this vinyl right here. I would want to have more tension on there than I would like sewing the fabric that's of my shirt. And so you just kind of get a feel for it, for what you're doing. I've even sewed leather on this machine, and I have to go down all the way, but it will do a pretty good stitch on leather, even though it's maybe not known as the leather sewer.
How old a machine is that one?
This is a 70s,
Okay,
late 70s, really similar to the same year
Yeah.
as this. This is made in Japan, and this one's made in Switzerland.
and about, what is your favorite kind of sewing machine?
For me,
Yes.
just one that works good.
Keeps going.
I have, my very first sewing machine I ever got was a Juki. And I got it to do snowmobile and motorcycle seats.
Oh my.
And I still have it, and it still works great as long as I take care of it. It has had a few bruises along the way, but I really like it. And it's an industrial machine, so the oiling on it gets kind of messy, and sometimes you have to completely clean all that and start over. And then I have a 1960 Pfaff. It was the first embroidery machine that Pfaff ever made. And I love it. When you look at it, it looks like it got drugged behind a car. But it sews great. I'm on the third motor in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it works excellent for things like alterations, and just anything to do with clothing works really well. The feed dogs on it are excellent. And on this machine, you can see the motors right here. And in these older machines, they put a felt pad on each end. And that felt pad needs a drop of oil, every 6 to 12 months. And you can see where they put a little red dot there, but it doesn't have to go there. It can go anywhere as long as it goes into that. As long as it goes into that little felt pad right there. And then this motor has the same type of brush that this one does. They're exactly the same. And you can take this out. This motor can come out, you can put new brushes on it. The armatures get cleaned on from time to time. Inside of these motors, the copper gets a carbon buildup, and then you'll start losing power on the machine because of electricity contact's not very good. But I'm not saying that you should take your motor apart and take that out of there.
To you for that.
I'm just telling you, that a lot of times those motors can go a lot longer. And while I have this up, I wanted to show you, this is like a little mini transmission here. And it's got it has two steel gears in there, and it's packed with a grease in there. And that can easily last 5 to 10 years in there. So it's not something that has to be done very often. I'd take that off there, but I don't feel like getting all greasy. Does anyone have any questions about anything? I'm not sure what time we have left.
Do computerized.
Oh,
25 minutes.
I still have about 25. Oh, good.
yeah,
Okay.
if you want 3:15.
I just don't want to get started on something and get stuck in the middle. Yes, ma'am.
Do you repair computerized machines?
I do. Treat it like a football. Did someone else have a question? Okay.
I have one more question, I'm sorry. If we're looking to buy a new machine, what do we need to look for as far as something that's easily maintainable for us? Like, so something that we can maintain, what are we looking for when we buy a new machine?
Well, on the new computerized machines, there's very little that just a regular person can do. It's kind of like buying a new car, That's how it is. I get new machines that are, they're $2,000 or $3,000 machines, and the reverse button isn't working because it's been used a lot. The reverse has, and it will be out of warranty, and they'll want to put a new motherboard in it. But you don't have to replace the motherboard, but that's what the factory wants you to do. Just that off and on switch can be replaced. I'm just letting you know that because I get that a lot, especially on school machines. Almost all the school machines at the 3-place districts I do are Bernina 330s. And the reverse button, the kids wear them out, and and it's expensive to repair for the school, $300 to fix the reverse button. So I just replaced the on and off switch on it. and it works just fine. The little on and off switches that are in the new computerized machine, that's the biggest thing that goes wrong with them. Yeah. They're just little tiny micro things. I never thought to bring one with me and I could show you. But that's the most common thing that happens. And they'll say, oh, you need a new motherboard. But that's just, that's the way it works. That's just the way that they do it now.
I have a question. You talk about buying machines, buying used machines. Is there any years that you should take it too old? Because someone gave me a machine, I couldn't find parts for it, it's in the 60s, but what years, how do you buy a used machine and know that,
Most used machines you can still get parts for, it's not in our country.
Because I can't afford to buy them.
Yeah, they don't want you to get those parts. But even machines in the 60s, you can still get parts for them.
Well, this one was a common thing, and it wasn't that good a model. I found out, I did research, it wasn't worth, price, it wasn't that good a model. So,
Oh, yeah.
This is sort of a dead model, so, moved on, but, so most machines will get parts for you.
Yes. Like this one, for example, if you took this into a dealer somewhere, they'd tell you that they can't get this part. Right here.
What part is that?
This runs the zigzag. And I know it's plastic and this is a Bernina, but Bernina used plastic ears too. But when you get 40 years out of them, they did something right. So, that's an example of, being able to get a part for an older machine. And, another example, like on this Kenmore right here, it's got a little different needle plate set up. It comes apart. And so typically this lasts forever, but there might be times, if you're a high-speed driver, you could take this out. and that's still available. And this machine is from the 70s. Did someone else have a question? Yes.
So I just got a new machine, well, it's a couple years old, but like I knew how to oil my old machine where the bobbin was this way. Now my bobbin sits up underneath the needle and I don't know how to oil the bobbin. How do I oil that bobbin?
So you have a top load
Yeah, it's a top load.
bobbin. Well, you need to take that look, does it have a little plastic case down there?
Yeah, the bobbin case, yeah.
Yeah,
Take it out.
and it's black, or is the bobbin case black on there?
It's a FAF, so it's, okay, maybe I'm not understanding. The bobbin is purple, but I put the bobbin out. There's another addition. Oh, yeah, it is black. You're right. It is black.
Yeah. So yeah, that piece comes out of there.
Okay.
There's just a little finger that holds it in place. You can loosen and screw a little bit, but